I was warned never to close all the doors in a room. There has always been a rule in my house. You must leave at least one door or window open in any given room of the house whilst you are in it. It was drilled into me since I was old enough to reach for the door handle. I didn't understand why for a while. My parents usually weren't superstitious in the slightest. I even saw from pictures that they owned a black cat a while before I was born. I rarely, if ever, questioned them, though. My parents were kind, calm people, but if I ever came close to breaking the rules, or even asking too many questions, they would turn serious, and wouldn't let me off without a 30-minute lecture first. I didn't actually believe in the superstition, thanks in part to them not telling me what the consequence would be for not doing so, but I didn't want to anger them, even if it meant leaving a window or door open in the cold. When I was 19 years old, however, my parents had gone to my grandmother's house to see my aunt who was visiting from Australia. I quickly volunteered to watch over the house while they were gone, which seemed to make them happy. In reality, I was just using this as an opportunity to have my girlfriend of 6 years over. Anya's father didn't like me very much, so I wasn't in her house very often. My parents didn't allow guests, so we mostly saw each other at school. That weekend though, I invited her over and she arrived less than an hour after my parents had left. She knew about the rule, of course. But that was mostly from me venting about it to her. From her perspective, I probably just had weird parents. Maybe if she had taken it more seriously, or if I was more strict, then what happened next could have been prevented. After a while of watching movies, she went to use the bathroom, but 30 minutes later she still hadn't left. I began to grow worried, asking her if she was all right, and when I got no response, I opened the door. She wasn't inside. I looked around the room and realized that she must have closed the window while she was in there. And now she was gone. Not a great way to find out that the superstition was real, was it? Her disappearance was a big thing. Most people assumed that her father had killed her, on account of him being a big, mean Russian guy who gave everyone death glares, as well as the fact that he frequently got into arguments with his daughter. The investigation turned up nothing, of course. I didn't say anything, but I think my parents suspected something. I joined the military not long after. I guess I just hated being in the house where she disappeared, and I somewhat harbored some resentment to my parents, and more so myself, for not being more strict with the rule. I wish I had stayed in contact with them, though. They died in a car crash last month. They left me the house, among other things. Yes, I hated it, the house. But it was big, and I hadn't had any great places to stay in the 5 years since I had left. I spent last night getting drunk. That's how I've spent a lot of nights since I got discharged, but being in the house where I lost Anya wasn't good for me, and I took to the drink especially hard last night. In my drunken state, I decided I'd reunite myself with her. I walked into the bathroom, closed the door and window. I immediately felt a wave of nausea, though not from the alcohol. Realizing what I'd done, I sobered up pretty quickly. I looked through the window to see that it was pitch black outside, despite the fact that the sun had only started to set when I had entered. When I opened the door, I stepped inside the kitchen. But that wasn't right. The bathroom was located near the front of the house. The door slammed shut behind me, but when I opened it, I was in my upstairs bedroom. Then my living room, then my basement, then the guest bedroom. It's like my house, but wrong. It's a maze of every room and story, but in the wrong places. I'm writing this from the downstairs bathroom. I found out that my phone is connected, but I'm not going to call for help. I don't want to risk anyone getting stuck in a hellish, distorted replica of the house like I'm in. There'd be no point anyway. I don't think I have long left. I hear eerie noises from the woods outside, but it's worse than that. I've just heard footsteps upstairs. I think there's something in the walls. My name is Dylan, I am 22 years old, and I live in Savannah, Georgia. I've just lost both my parents in a catastrophic motorcycle accident. My therapist wants me to document how the next couple of weeks go, so that is what I'm going to do. Maybe I can vent a little as well. Dad was a drunkard, and my mother was always forced to go to the bar with him because he could never make it home alone. Last night, Dad thought he could manage to get them home. He was wrong. When I went to identify the bodies at the scene, their limbs and organs were spread across the highway. That sight awoke something inside me that I had not thought about in a long time. Dad always said there were bodies in the walls. While I never believed him, I did know that the house was old and that my great-great-grandfather was a very odd and eccentric plantation owner. It was a beautiful home that had now fallen into my hands under rather unfortunate circumstances. Because the house is so old and unkempt due to having no money because of my father, it desperately needs repairs. With the life insurance money, I can finally afford to fix up the place. My father was an ugly man, and he tormented me as a child just like his father and his father. He would chase me through the house, screaming, groaning, and crawling. He would hide and scare me around every corner, and I never felt safe. The feeling was different now, though. It was calm, even peaceful. Maybe it's because I'm drowning myself in Kentucky bourbon, just as my father did. I think that it is time to go lay down, though. I know I cannot sleep in the master bedroom, but I do not think I can get up the stairs on my own. Well, I inched my way up the stairs, and I finally made it. I flopped onto my bed, the old box springs moaning and groaning like my old man bitching about his damn arthritis, falling on deaf ears just like the old man's cries. June 6, 2023. One heard something before I fell asleep. I know I did. At first, I disregarded the noises. I heard a light tapping on the wall. Reflexively, I yell, "Damn it, Dad, I'm trying to sleep. Can you lay off?" Then I remember I became immediately sober. That was not my father. He was in 40 different pieces in the morgue. The tapping stopped, and I began to weep and pray to every god I could think of to please save me. Then I fell unconscious and slept for 32 hours straight. I think I need to check myself into inpatient care. June 16, 2023. I am trapped. I drink a fifth of bourbon a day now, and I think I understand why my father did the same thing. I've tried to leave, but I feel drawn back anytime I walk out the door. In the past week, I have regressed to gently rocking back and forth while sitting in the alcove of my childhood bedroom. The alcove always made me feel uncomfortable as a child. The walls seemed too thick. It almost seemed like there could be a room on either side. But I am drawn to it now. I fall unconscious at random points throughout the day, and the cool hardwood floor keeps the nausea at bay. I'm wondering about the house now. The ceiling is not calm anymore. I think something is wrong, or maybe I'm just hungover. I need another drink. Fuck, now I'm upstairs. How the hell did it happen, and how long has it been now? It is light again. It's 2 p.m. and life sucks. I know that I need to go to town for more bourbon in a few hours before the shakes start again. I have not gone out much. In fact, since my parents' funeral, the only trips I make are to the liquor store and grocery store combo down the road. I've quit my job, but the life insurance money will keep me afloat for now. June 25, 2023. From the wall, I hear weeping, then the heart-wrenching scream of a child, "No, no, no, please." Woke up in a cold sweat. These nightmares are just getting worse. Were those footsteps running down the hall just now? No, I'm just going insane. I've got to give myself some closure, and I finally think that I know how. I'm going to rip out the walls and prove once and for all that there is nothing there. The tapping, the voices, everything is just my imagination, guided sleepily by the handle of bourbon that I drink every day. I've got the sledgehammer, which was enthusiastically inscribed "Persuasion" with a black Sharpie by my father, It feels heavier than before and colder. The steelhead made a resounding thud the first time I hit the thick plaster wall. Again and again, I swung, little bits of plaster and wood struck me in the face, but I just kept swinging. By the time I was done, all that was left was a pile of rubble on the floor where the wall had been. My blinding rage kept me from seeing what I had hit until it was too late. There was a room with plaster on all sides, and in the corner was a skeleton. A small skeleton in a homemade dress. What the hell is this place? June 29, 2023. There are symbols painted on the walls. I think they are painted in blood. I could not find much about them, so I went to a local macabre museum in an alley on River Street called Graveface. I showed the owner the pictures of the symbols on my phone, and he went pale. "We don't fuck with hoodoo around here, bro, you need to leave." He said that and escorted me to the door. He shoved me out, and a resounding thunk came from the big lock, and click, click, the two smaller locks. I don't know what to do anymore. All I can find online is that the symbols are some sort of hoodoo hex. I'm going to finish this bottle and bust down the other side of the alcove to see what I can find. But first I am posting this online in case something happens. I know that no one will believe me, so I'm posting this in a place where no one has to believe it. God save me.